Thanks, Carson.
Michael Pelly there from the legal section at the Australian. Let's move on and tell you about shopping around for a lawyer. It can, of course, be a tricky and a time-consuming business, particularly for those that are new to the game. Q Legal Tender. It's a website promising to do the hard work for you and match up your legal problem with a solicitor who's right for the job. The service claiming it can slash your legal fees by as much as 80%. Let's get more on this now with founder of Legal Tender, Emily Peterson, at our Melbourne studio. A warm welcome, Emily. That is a pretty audacious claim, 80%. How do you exactly arrive at that figure?
Well, it is difficult to work out an exact figure. That figure is based on case studies that I've analysed. The way that I have worked out the 80% is to examine the range of tenders that are given by law firms, to take the most extreme tender that's given, compare it to the one that the client has chosen. In that case, we're seeing that very often clients are potentially saving up to 80% of legal fees they could otherwise have been charged.
Let's forget about saving for one moment. I want to talk about also how you make money as a business from this. $55, correct me if I'm wrong, for every referral. It's not exactly a recipe to, go off and buy a Picasso.
No, it's not. I'll just point out that it's completely free for clients to use. Law firms don't pay to register, they don't pay to tender. They do pay $55 only if they win a tender. The $55 fee is low because it acknowledges that the lawyer-client match may not actually eventuate. The tenders that are given on the website are not binding, and the client is not obligated to hire the lawyer. So it's sufficiently low to represent that it is a dual qualified match. The lawyer has said they're interested. The client has said, out of those interested parties, I'd prefer law firm A. So there's a great chance that it will work, but it may not in every circumstance. We did consider having an annual membership fee instead of only pay if you win. But in those circumstances, we feel that there's far more risk because you could pay your $3,000, $2,000 membership fee but receive no referrals.
How are you actually, when you talk about, I guess, screening a practitioner's reputation and all of this, you say that part of the search will involve taking into account experience, skills, approach to work, history, affiliations, and then crucially reputation. Now I'm wondering, out there in the industry at the moment we have the Bible, as it were, of reputation, which is Chambers and Partners. This is a global, annually updated register. How do you go head-to-head with them?
Well, when law firms register with Legal Tender, they fill out the size of the firm, the experience of the firm, the reputation of the firm. That's not judged by external clients. That's the way that the firm perceives themselves. When a client receives a tender from a firm, they're able to review that Legal Tender firm profile and get a bit of a sense of what the firm's about.
Tell me about the decision to roll it out now when you've got roughly, 200 lawyers on your books, as opposed to waiting for things to bed down and getting a bigger cross-section of the legal community on board before you launched?
Well, 200 law firms, I've got 200 law firms from a wide variety of areas, geographically, from both states. I'm finding that when I activate a case, within literally 20 minutes, I'll have on average 4 bids from lawyers. So because of that good spread that I have of member firms, it's not so much of an issue. In addition, when I don't have a law firm on my books that matches the criteria of location, language skills and expertise, I simply send an email out to firms that may be interested, a handful of firms, noting that I have a case, how Legal Tender works. There's a $55 payment if you win, and I'm having a very good turnaround result from that. Usually firms join up on the day and tender the next.
How are you protecting your intellectual property, Emily? What is to stop someone coming along and ripping off this idea?
Well, unfortunately there isn't much. There's copyright protection. As I'm sure you know, that means that no other person can come along and reproduce my site identically, but they could make a significant number of small changes here and there and probably get away with it. I doubt that I would be able to get patent protection because compared to the prior art base, which is worldwide, it's not nearly inventive enough. There is a similar system in the United States that I'm aware of, so I very much doubt that I would get patent protection. I really base the success of my site on the relationships that I've established with the firms, the response rate that I have to clients and firms, and really just doing everything I can to make the best match for a client.
When's it going to go national?
I'm hoping within the year. 6 months to a year, I'd love to go national. I am getting daily inquiries from law firms interstate asking when I will be able to expand this service to them. So I'd say within 12 months, and by the end of that time I would like to make legal tender the number one service for clients needing legal assistance and law firms, especially mid-tier law firms that want to get out there and compete for the work that the larger firms traditionally have.
Do you miss the day-to-day being absorbed, Emily? You know, you were in practice yourself. Are you tempted to go back? You're forming these relationships at the moment with the clients. I mean, is it acting as some sort of a return sweetener?
No, not at all. I may go back at some point later on down the track after legal tender has got to the level I want. But no, this is where I want to be. I came up with the idea roughly 4 years ago, worked on the idea in a hobby sense. The GFC hit. I thought it was a perfect time to launch legal tender. I don't expect to be going back to practice. This is what I love.
Why did you do astrophysics?
This one. I've thought about it, and I think that the only correlation between the two is that I must be interested in laws, whether they be your man-made laws or your macro laws of the universe. I found it incredibly interesting, and strangely enough, the skills that I attained from astrophysics have been very useful working in business.
Well, never say never. We do wish you well. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Carson. Bye.
Take care. Emily Peterson there from Legal